COVID-19 has ravished our country in every industry possible. Today, we're going to hear about how the comic book industry is bouncing back. Learn more coming up next. Welcome to the Point. I'm your host, Eric Mitchell. It is Friday, June 19th, 2020. It is Juneteenth today, so it is an epic celebration. I wish we could have the parades that normally fall on this day. It is a celebration, so wherever you're at, make sure you're celebrating Juneteenth and go out and make sure you put a couple great posts out there. There's some great ones out there. Share. If you're unfamiliar with Juneteenth is, go check out, there's a lot of videos, but I like laughing and learning while laughing. So I would suggest going over to the great Trevor Noah's Facebook page or to his YouTube and looking up the video he released about 3 hours ago that talked about what is Juneteenth in case you don't know. You'll get a good laugh, you'll learn a little bit, and you'll understand what we're all talking about. So hopefully you enjoy your Juneteenth. We have a great show for you today. I'm excited. My co-host today is the wonderful Jordan Gilbert, and Jordan's amazing. Not only is she a co-host on the show and she's been a guest numerous times, but she's also a producer here on the show. Yes, she's behind the curtain doing a lot of things that make the show go. So we're appreciative of Jordan, but she's going to come on today, and we have two amazing guests, and I can't wait to share who our guests are because they're amazing. I know you've seen one of them on AMC's Comic Book Men, and definitely if you're into comics, you know the president of the other company that's going to be here. So we are excited about our show today. It's going to be fun. It's Fan Friday, folks. So make sure you're out there. If you're sharing the show, share it with your friends. It's Fan Friday. And as always, make sure you're smashing that subscribe button. We really want to up our numbers on YouTube, and we're appreciative of all you guys who keep smashing that like button here on Facebook. Make sure you head over to our Instagram. If you're on Instagram, follow us on Instagram at To The Point TV. Follow us there because we're posting some fun stuff. We're really going to be turning that up a little bit, and we'd love for you to follow us there. As always, if you're on Twitter and you want to see our tweets, well, go to Twitter at To The Point TV, and you'll find our tweets there. We're not on LinkedIn, but if you're looking for things related to the show on LinkedIn, simply follow me on LinkedIn. I'm Eric L. Mitchell on LinkedIn. So you see this smiling face, and click it, and we can connect if you're using LinkedIn, which, as Jeremy Leonard on told us, that's a pretty good idea to use. So without further ado, let's jump into Friday, and let's get to the point.
Just do it. I think you should do it.
That's what we're doing. Okay. Here we go. 3, 2. Hey, and welcome to our Fan Friday here on To The Point. I'm glad to remember the name of our show today. That's always good. And our co-host today is Jordan Gilbert. She's back. She fills in on Women Wednesday, and now she's on Fan Friday. And we
taking over.
Right? But I think today's kind of cool because we're not talking politics or police shootings or rioting or COVID-19. I mean, I think we're going to talk a little bit of COVID because
we're going to probably talk about COVID a little bit.
Unfortunately, you can't not talk about COVID. I think COVID's the only thing that's like consistently going on all the time. Depends on who you ask, but those of us with brains know that's still going on. Just saying. But we're excited. You know, we get to talk about comic books. I mean, I'm excited about that. I mean, my son's name is Logan. So if you're a comic book fan, you could probably guess who my favorite comic book person was growing up.
What? Who?
Who? Swing. Yes, I mean, can't help it. You have to do Wolverine. But now I'm more of a Deadpool fan than Wolverine, but, you know.
Chimichangas forever.
I think it's just because I love Ryan Reynolds. That's just I mean, Deadpool's good. He's hella funny. I mean, who doesn't like Deadpool? I mean, I'm just saying. Are you a Deadpool fan, Jordan?
I mean, yes. So much Deadpool all the time.
You know, we could break down which one's better, Marvel or these other people who really make bad movies. But, you know, we'll just...
Hey. We're trying to have a really nice show today.
We're going to have a great show as Eric insults the comic book industry.
We're so professional.
We are professional. That's why it's Friday. Fan Friday at that.
Today is Friday.
It is
Hashtag.
Friday. It is. I feel like Jim from The Office right now. Dwight, because tomorrow is Saturday.
Yes.
Or is it?
Hey, I don't know. What day in quarantine are we?
I lost count a long time ago. So
that's okay, but it's Fan Friday.
It is Fan Friday, and we have 2 good guests.
Yes, you do.
We're gonna get through this. I promise everybody. It's Friday. We got the giggles. We can't help it, and we're not even drinking. And I don't even have a bad accent or a Guido suit on. I'm sorry, I don't. I mean, I can't do that. I mean, I know there's other shows that will do that, but I won't. I don't have a Trump pin. I don't wear a Trump suit. Well, I mean, I don't look like a douchebag, so I wouldn't wear that. But I mean, that's just me. I mean, that'd be weird. I do have a bullet for a pen. That's kind of dope, right?
Yes. Shout out to Bottle Breacher. Please be friends with us. Hey.
Don't fly with this. They really freaking don't like that. Okay. Let's be serious. We're back to being serious. See, yes. I'm glad that I have an actress for a co-host because she can actually tell me how to do this shit the right way. So we're excited for our 2 guests today on Friday. Fan Friday at that. Oh, so we have Ming Chen. He is the co-founder of a shared universe podcast studio and star of AMC's Comic Book Men. Pretty dope. I mean, I'm excited about that. And then we have Josh Geppi. Oh, look, I said it right. Woohoo! Everybody knows I screw those up. And he is the president of Diamond International Galleries and Sapphire Studios. Cool. So we have these awesome guests. So let's welcome our guests to the show. What do you say? Unless you have anything you want to add?
No, bring him in. Let's do it.
Jordan, you just look like you have something important to say. Like you're just like.
Welcome to Fan Friday. I'm your host, Jordan Geppi.
Okay, so let's welcome Josh. Oh, wow. Oh, Josh and Ming, welcome to the shit show. How are you guys doing today?
We're really making a good impression today.
We're here. It's Friday. This is what we do. We're here to have fun. I mean, who doesn't get okay, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I grew up on comics. They are still a part of I'm lucky. I have a 13-year-old, so he's into them. So it's like I don't ever get to stop not growing up. I'm like permanently a 10-year-old. And, you know, there's things like Disney Plus that also add to my craziness of loving things of, you know, the Marvel universe being around me because, you know, hey, it's out. You know, graphic novels are my thing too. My son actually reads graphic novels, and I love the argument with my wife that they get into because she's like, go read a book. And he's like, this is a book. She's like, that's a comic book. He's like, no, it's not. It's a graphic novel. See, the word novel is in it, Mom. Therefore, I love the debate because that's the greatest debate I've ever heard in my life. And he wins almost 100% of the time. And then he uses it as an excuse to watch like 300. He's like, yeah, like, and The Walking Dead. He's always comparing the two. So
you guys clearly haven't been to a real shit show because you haven't seen me and Josh at a Comic-Con before. That's a real shit show right there.
It is. It's usually a late night in the bar somewhere. Sitting
I
at
was supposed to go to my first Comic-Con this year. That's a sore point. I was supposed to go my first one this year. Huh?
Which one were you going to go to?
San Diego.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's all mourn for the moment and let's get right into it.
I love that town so much, man. That's what I'm really missing out on right now is being in San Diego for Comic-Con. We'll be coming up this next month too. And
yeah.
Any excuse to go to San Diego, I love. Comic-Con is one of the biggest ones. I mean, the location, San Diego's just dope in general, and Comic-Con's awesome, and all the things that get released during that. It's, you know, I'm a movie junkie, a TV show junkie, and if you look at everything that's come out, I mean, in the last 2 years, Comic-Con's led the way. I mean, for all the big movies, I mean, all the shows that we love, I mean, the four of us love. Other people are like, I don't really like zombie shows. I don't know what you're talking about, but I do. But, you know, welcome to the show, guys. So, you know, kind of give, who wants to go first? Raise your hand and you get picked on first. That's how we do it here. It's like school. Josh, away. So Josh, it's your turn. You're going first. So there you go. So Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, how you got into, you know, what your role that you do, so the folks know, so they don't have to go Google and not stop watching the show. We'd like you to tell us so they don't have to.
mine's pretty simple how I got into comics. It was, you know, obviously it's my family. Okay. My father started Diamond Comic Distributors and started a retail shop before I was even born, to be honest with you. When he got in distribution, I was 2 years old. back in 1982. So I'm knocking on 40 in the next few months. So looking forward to that. But really, like, I've been around comics my whole life. I've been working professionally in the industry for 22 years. I started in 1998 with Diamond. I grew from working the mailroom for Diamond Comics, just in the corporate headquarters, into a sales position with our gallery that did high-end, collectible sales, comic book sales. And then I worked my way up into each individual job between and directorships, everything else. Now I'm actually currently the president of Diamond International Galleries, and I started our multimedia part of Diamond, which is Sapphire Studios, which we handle things like Previews World and Game Trade Media. So it's been a lot of fun things I've been involved with. I've been going to cons for years and years. It's something I'm really missing right now because it's like a hole in my heart. And I'm waiting for them to come back, man. I'm like, I mean, we'll get through all this stuff, but it's, it's quite a ride so far. But that's pretty much where I've come from. I mean, I've been around comics literally my entire life, and I couldn't love them more than I do.
That's awesome. That's a good intro. I mean, it's kind of cool. I love hearing these stories of folks who end up at the top, and it's a family-owned business, so you probably always hear about nepotism and all that, and people always talk about it. And to see, I love hearing your story, starting in the mailroom, right? And I know I have a lot of friends that started there, and now they're CEOs, but they had to work their way through, and I love it because I always relate stuff to military, where you got to learn the role of everybody before you just hop in the front, because it's easy to have haters, because I'm pretty sure that people will be like, they could be like, oh, Josh, he's family started.
It happens. It happens. I was everybody's bitch for years. I mean, when I was in the mailroom, be honest with you, that's who I was. I was like, give me this. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. All right, cool. You play the role you're given, man. That's what you do.
But it's good because it's respectable. I mean, I would follow you as an employee because you've been through the bad stuff. And I think that's important, no matter in what industry we're in. To lead, you got to know the bad jobs. And so when somebody's bitching and moaning, you're like, dude, done it, been there, done that. And I have experience, got the paper cuts. I've been yelled at. People yelled at me for no reason.
And I recognize the opportunity I was given because of who I am too. So I'm not devoid of that saying, oh, I would have been here either way. I'm like, no, I got a pretty good jump start on it. I'm going to be honest with you.
A small advantage.
Yeah. So I'm not devoid of that. Though.
No. So Ming, we'll toss that over to you. Obviously, you are doing incredible things. So tell us how you got into this industry and your quick, brief story, and then we'll jump into everything.
Oh man, but still going after Josh is like going after the firefighter at career day. And it's like, oh yeah, Josh fights fires. What do you do? I sell comic books. My name is Ming Chen. You might know me from the AMC TV show Comic Book Men, which was shot in Kevin Smith's comic book shop. I love podcasting as well, and I've had a lifelong love affair with comic books ever since I was 6 years old, and I was handed a copy of Avengers 214 and devoured that. I read comics throughout as a kid. I got involved with Kevin Smith though because I became a huge fan of his movie Clerks. I made a Clerks fan website. Kevin saw it one day, and he ended up hiring me full time based on my fandom. So, for anybody out there who is like really, really a fan of something and you're not too crazy, you might score a job with the person that you love. You never know. I think Kevin really expanded my comic book fandom though. His love of the genre, he went from fan to like writer, creator, just like that. And I was like, wow, that was awesome. And he introduced me to a lot of things when comics kind of had a renaissance in the 90s, like Preacher and all the Image stuff and all the stuff that he was writing. But through that, Kevin ended up hiring me full time based on that fan website I created. We started podcasting, and somehow, not really sure, but I wound up on a reality TV show for 7 seasons. So I don't know, but the best thing to come out of all of that, besides being on TV, was being able to go to Comic-Cons, be able to hang out with fellow fans. And I'm not saying that just because he's here, but I got to meet Josh Geppi as well. So that may not have happened had not all the other previous stuff not have happened. And I get to be on with you guys. So I love talking. I love talking geek with people. Back when I was a kid, it was very hard to find fellow fans and not get harassed and beat up and made fun of. And now everyone loves the stuff that we do. So we all get the last laugh, my friends.
Right? I mean, I think I agree. I love that you bring that up because that's so true when it comes to remembering, like, I lived at the comic book store. It was right down the street from our house. I was in there. I had posters of, Wolverine and like the original X-Men when like Wolverine was like yellow and looked like a banana, and just watch. And there was just, the world was normal. People make fun of you, like, oh, dude, you're into comic books? Who's into comic books? And now,
look at us now.
People are total geeks for it. And it's so funny to see it because it's our whole world. Look at the shows that have come out of like graphic novels, right? I mean, it's crazy. And it even bleeds into like my world. So one of our favorites, and I know he's not on the show, and I'm probably breaking every rule, but a good friend of mine is a Marine, and he wrote the Terminal Lance series, which is a graphic novel. This is like Marines, like the #1 book we read, which is, of course, it has to be comic related because we don't know how to read, but it's great. But I mean, this is how far it's come, right? When you think of, the industry, all the books that have ever been written about military life have always been like, some long, thick old book like General Mattis wrote. Okay, that's great if I want to read that, but this is funny and people get into comics. So it's funny to see how far it's come. The Walking Dead. And then people bitch about that because it's not accurate, and the TV show changed the graphic novel. And
the thing is, you look back with like Robert Kirkman even said, he goes, he made adjustments in the show that he wanted to do in the comics that he regretted. So it was like somebody's like, oh, this isn't accurate, but he made changes anyway because he knew he wanted to fix things. So I give him that credit too.
It's kind of like Star Wars, right? They kind of just like, hey, we're going to add these 3 movies and we're just going to make crap up as we go along. Cool. It doesn't fall.
Stick with the original 3 movies. We'll be okay. You're not going to come close.
We're going to add stuff. And it's funny because being a parent of teenagers who now are comic geeks like their dad, watching, and we're huge Star Wars nerds in our house. I mean, we just absolutely adore Star Wars. I mean, Baby Yoda like took over our life. I mean, turning on Mandalorian was like, I don't care about the rest. Just stay with Baby Yoda and Mando. Whatever Baby Yoda does. I mean, come on. The greatest scene ever for the whole season was Baby Yoda sipping the tea while they're fighting. That was just dope. If you didn't like that, I mean,
Are y'all gonna pull stuff now? Look at them.
All right.
Yes.
I know.
Whatever, guys.
No, I was at the comic store for New Comic Wednesday yesterday, obviously, because today's Thursday, right? I lose my days. And I was going through, and they have like little Lego figures. So I'm at my local comic shop, and I bought this. I'm gonna try to get out of the package. It was a little Lego figure.
Holy crap!
And it's like, because I have Mando too. But it's like, you have this, and I'm like, this is adorable. I need this in my life. I go, I don't care how much is it. It's just ridiculous. So I think it was like $5 or something. But I'm like, I need it.
Mine now. It's mine now. It's mine now.
Love it. You know what's funny about it is it's every age group. Like I see it, and I'm looking up something. That's why I'm going to show you because I'm cheating and using my phone. And she's going to love that I'm picking on her because my mom loves me to pick on her. But the other day, my mom goes on Instagram. Now it's my mom. She's got grandchildren. But I don't know if you could see that, but my mom bought Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
I
There are no kids in her house. I said, did you get that for one of the grandkids? Nope. That's her baby.
It's my Baby Yoda.
It's my Baby Yoda. I mean,
I'm not sharing it with anybody.
I mean, think about that. You think about the very people like, you'll never go anywhere reading comic books. My mother said that. She also said video games, you'll never make money. I was the first one to tell her. I showed her the kid who made $3 million playing video games. I was like, you're wrong.
Right.
Tell that to me. Like, you'll never make monies in this. Oh, okay, yeah. Ninja's doing great.
Hold my beer. I'll show you you're wrong. I'll be right back with that. So let's kind of jump into let's jump into some questions here and talk about your industry. Obviously, the elephant in the room is COVID-19, and it's affected everybody. As we started off talking about Comic-Con, the biggest Comic-Con in San Diego is canceled, which was heartbreaking. Not just for fans, but the city of San Diego was also affected because that's okay. They let the Chargers leave because Comic-Con's bigger than football. I mean, that's just like that city loves Comic-Con. Like you will never meet a city that doesn't.
The whole town gets taken over. Like people don't realize how much it brings to San Diego.
The money's ridiculous because years ago, you talked before even the height of this. It was the city brought in like something like $180 million in 5 days. It was more than their football season, the entire season. So I'm like, you look at that, and it's only gone. It's probably a couple $100 million. And you talk about hotels, everything, restaurants. I mean, everything's packed. So
especially because they always have, because in San Diego, different from like New York Comic Con, which we started doing, is that like the experiential marketing alone, with all like what they rent out, the experiences for all the different promotions, the hotels and restaurants, like what they do, the gas lamp is like insane. It's insane, and then none of that is happening.
Well, Alienware had, I think it was like 6 blocks away, had like a setup one year, and I'm like, it was 6 blocks away from the convention. So I mean, think about that.
But people go. I mean, they love it, and those hotel rooms sell out. It's a guarantee. I mean, all my friends who work in San Diego look forward to it. All my friends who live in Southern California and get Comic-Con passes, that's what they live for, right? It's like, especially in SoCal, it's Comic-Con and Coachella. They kind of go hand in hand for a lot of that crowd. And I mean, they're several months apart, but let's talk about it. So, the entertainment industry, it's been deeply affected by COVID-19. And quarantine has delayed and caused releases in movies and across the board. How has it affected, the comic book industry? We all know the movie industry. We saw the Oscars just got pushed back to April. How's it affected your guys' industry?
I'll let Ming talk first.
I mean, I think the comic industry as a whole, even before all this, was suffering, was taking a hit. There's so many distractions out there, and I don't know any kid who actually reads anything anymore. So a lot of it was driven by us adults with salaries and collectibles and money to buy, hot toys and larger end items. And even with the movies bringing attention to the original properties, I think it was tough. It was taking a hit, and us as a store, we saw physical books, and the digital was kind of taking a chunk out of that. So it was tough already trying to keep that audience. And then now that the stores were shut down and legally nobody could come in, that just made everything tougher. Everything got shut down, and we had to the stash had to adjust for sure. They're doing a lot of mail order. We still kept our reservists, the people who would buy books every week. We were mailing them out, and Kevin did something that I was like, man, this is why I love the guy. He called up the store. He's like, hey, how many reservists do we have? How many people do we have, pulling books every week and saving them? And Kevin ended up buying them all for our longtime customers. So he just doing something. Yeah, he was just doing something nice, but that's something loyal you do for your longtime customers. That ensures that they'll come back when this is all over. And we had no idea when it was going to be over. We had no idea when it was going to resume and how long we'd be out for. But with things like cons being canceled and no movies and production being halted and just no new content being released for a couple months. Yeah, it's tough. It's one of those things when you lose the momentum, you don't know if people are going to come back. So it's just a lot of adjusting, a lot of just trying to reformulate a plan and keep everybody interested for when we came back. But yeah, it's been pretty tough. I think a lot of the longtime fans are obviously going to come back, and with efforts with Diamond and what Josh has come up with our comeback will be better than our setback, which was brilliant. I think things will go on and survive, but yeah, I'm not going to lie and said it's been an easy 15 weeks by any means.
Now I feel really old that you said it's been 15 weeks, so that makes it real long.
What day in quarantine are we in right now?
I lost count.
Where are we?
I have to tell both Ming and Josh this. I have a 13-year-old that's literally walked by where I'm recording because he knows you guys are on.
Yeah.
He's literally walked by like.
It's like peeked his head in.
Are they going to say something secret that I can know and tip my friends off to? I mean, they're both, he was excited, which was cool because I went and asked him. I asked my wife, she had no idea who you were, but my son was like, hell, I know both of them. Oh yeah, I watched those. I know them. I'm like, pretty cool. Like,
that's awesome.
I mean, you're famous.
Little dad points today.
Hey, you think you feel old? I said, my oldest daughter is 22, going on 23, and she's pregnant. I'll be a grandfather in September.
Whoa.
So, yeah, there's what puts stuff in perspective for you, right? You're like, no.
I have a 23-year-old daughter too, but I don't want her ever getting pregnant because that would scare me.
Yeah, it doesn't go over well usually. You're like, no, God.
Hey, I don't want to be a grandpa.
But she's got a
great
boyfriend, so it's awesome.
So
I have 2 dogs, so that's my life.
There you go.
There you go.
You'll be a dog grandmother.
Thanks. Weird, a little. Okay. I mean, to your point, Ming, I think first of all, you're like, wait, hold on, Josh, you're gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say something in response to the first question as far as how it's affected the industry. If like you just want another kind of opinion in here, but I said,
I mean, please.
I agree with what Ming said, obviously too. But what caused a lot of this, and it's not saying cause, like it's a bad word to put it, but I said the thing about it is like Diamond had to pause distribution during COVID because most of the states were shut down. Nobody could open, nobody could receive product. So that was the big major hit to the industry. And then before, like Ming's right, it's like there was, you're facing different challenges with people coming into shops, who's buying them, who has money at the time and all that. But when we stopped distribution, it was a hard decision to make. It ended up being the right decision. It was not easy because obviously that's money flowing through the company. If money's not coming in, money doesn't go out. There's a lot of other things. And at that point, it was one of the things we had to say, look, we're not distributing books. Because people can't receive them. People can't sell them. It's not a safe environment. All these kind of things are going on. And we had to wait for it to be somewhere where we could service them again. And that's where this, and we'll get into, I'm sure later, about the comeback stuff, about coming back from distribution and what that was and trying to champion retail. And that's pretty much what the biggest impact was that stoppage of distribution and halt to the retail game that really did affect a lot during COVID.
Awesome.
Intense stuff. I mean, I think it's great to see. I think we should just start talking about the comeback. I mean, I think right now a lot of people think of the entertainment industry just being like the films and the movies and the fact that Wonder Woman and Mulan is getting pushed a bunch of times. But as a whole, the source material is so important. How can we do better? I mean, I know back the comeback. Can you tell us about that? Why we should start paying attention to the comic book industry and how that is helpful to the local comic book shops?
Yeah, and to clear it up, like with back to comeback, first of all, the slogan, our comeback will be bigger than our setback, was actually from my father, Steve. He thought of the actual slogan. He said, look, we need something to energize people, get them involved, because I truly believe it. And it wasn't, and the misconception right now, it was about Diamond. It was never about Diamond. It was about all of us. It was a community. It was everyone. It can stretch to any facet you want to put. You can put it to the music industry, anything else. Is listen, we're all going to make this. We're going to make it out of this. We're not going to be sitting here like, oh my God, everything's over. And like, it's a positive message saying, look, our comeback is going to be bigger than our setback. We're going to come back. We're going to join forces. People will be bigger than they ever were after this. And that's where our comeback will be bigger than our setback came from. My idea for it, I had the hashtag back the comeback. That was me. I also said, can we do something that harkens back to the comics code? Now, some people don't feel great about the comics code either. I said, but it's recognizable. So if we want to put something on a comic that says, hey, this is something championing this effort. But again, it was never about Diamond. And that's what most people don't understand at this point. It was about industries coming back. It was about these mom and pop stores. It was about the vendors. It was about everybody. It said, look, we're back and we're going to be better than ever. So that's where that kind of came from.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I love that you guys did that. It's been a dark 15 weeks, and it wasn't just gonna be like, all right, you're reopened. Well, have at it. It was nice to hear see this kind of light in the dark, as a kind of a beacon of support, from you guys, going, hey, we're behind you. You're not alone. You've got all these, you've got other people suffering along with you, but together we can make it through this. But yeah, I mean, you guys didn't have to do this, and I love that you did, and just kind of rallying support from everybody. I remember it's like, hey, you were like, hey, I got this package coming to you. Stay tuned, and you had sent me some of the back to comeback T-shirts, and when you announced the whole campaign, I was like, all right, this is cool. I'm glad somebody, I'm glad somebody stepped up and kind of rallied support around everybody.
Wow. I mean, I think it's so great as a community, you guys coming together, and I think there's a lot Yeah, I think it's so great with like how Back to Come has really brought a big community together, and so much in the arts world is really coming together. It's saying like we're here, we want to keep telling stories. How can we do that? How can we connect to our fans? Because a lot of people are worried about what's going to happen next. And to go back to even just the conventions, I mean, this whole year, all the cons have been canceled for the most part. And I got to ask people, what do you guys think is going to happen with New York Comic Con right now?
That's a to be determined, because right now it's like everybody, there's certain things being put in place from state to state that's saying, like, even I'll be honest with you, even Maryland, like, you know, we have Baltimore Comic Con that comes up in the fall. I always look forward to that because it's a home show for us. And it's things like they're saying maybe extending things through November, and that shows like in October, like saying where there's no gatherings of more than 50 people. And everything's done on the basis of precaution, so you can't be mad at public safety. You can be disappointed. I wouldn't be, you know, flat out mad at somebody saying like, oh my God, how dare we not have this, because we're trying to be careful. And everybody has their feelings on COVID and all, and I get that. But I'm like, you know, I'd rather err on the side of caution and just kind of be disappointed that my fandom's not met from it. But it's going to be a wait and see. I don't, in my heart, I really think it's going to be hard for New York to pull off New York Comic Con. I'm hoping I'm completely wrong and everything is passed by that point and they can still do it. Remember, it takes a lot before the con to set up the con. So it's not like they can say a week before it's all right, it's on. That's a lot of people. That's a lot to do. So I think they're going to have to make a decision sooner than later.
And
Yeah.
is that how the New York Comic Con, that's held at the convention center?
At Javits
right?
Center. Yeah, that's at Javits, which is currently a hospital. Right?
Yeah.
So.
I don't see it happening. You got 100,000 people coming from all parts of the country. And even if they're like, I mean, they can't just let in half. They can't. Are they going to do temperature checks for everybody coming in? Is everybody going to be in non-cosplay masks? It's I think until we get to a point where you're not afraid to go into a large gathering, that's when things will start coming back at this scale. And I think the only way that will happen is if they discover some kind of vaccine or some way to kill or fight this thing. It's just not a great idea to cram that many people into one space. And then, you know, you're talking about panels with 3,000 people, even as simple as waiting in line for food or whatever, or waiting in line for autographs. It's tough to control. We're in June. Traditionally, New York Comic Con takes place the first weekend in October, so we're less than 4 months away. Yeah, I really don't see it happening, much to my own disappointment. And I don't think we'll see cons at this kind of scale until at least next year.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Well, social distancing, if you had to do that, there's no social distancing at a con. I'm sorry. That's like you walked and stopped in the middle of San Diego Comic Con and like what we used to call the Badlands, where all the studios were, because it was just like a clump of people. You could stop and not walk, and you just get pushed through the entire thing and just be like, oh, here, I'm at my destination. It's horrible. If you're claustrophobic, you do not want to walk into a Comic Con that big. But it's like a petri dish too, and no disrespect to our like people we love there, but it literally people are coughing, sneezing, doing all this other stuff, and it's just unavoidable at that point where it's probably not going to be in the best interest for people. I would love to see everything come back, and I'd love to see a cure for this pandemic more than anything. I was like, because trust me, I don't know what to do with myself that I'm not at cons for the last X amount of months, and I'm sure Ming is the same way, where it's like we're used to being places and traveling, starting like in maybe the February area or something, and going places and constantly on the road. I mean, the plus side is I get to see my family a lot more. The negative side is they get to see me a lot more. You know? That's where we're at.
Yeah, you're not alone there, Josh. You're not alone there.
Yeah, I think we're all in that boat when we think about it, for all of our business, for everybody, you know, and we look at the entertainment industry, much like we look at the sports industry. I think a lot of us kind of relate the two, and we're basically without both. There's no new content coming out on the creative side. I know everybody got really excited, at least in my house, so that's 4 people, got excited when the Star Wars trailer for a video game came out the other day, and that was the hot thing. And then Disney Plus just teased that they have like 50 new titles coming out in like 2 weeks. So of course that's like what we're waiting for. But I mean, and then you had ESPN release the Last Dance, the Jordan documentary, which was amazing. And I think more people watch ESPN because they could. But we're missing those two worlds. So it's so difficult. We don't really have an ending. And I think it's funny. We're sitting here talking about we don't want people in a tight space and in a convention center. But hey, somebody wants to hold a rally with 60,000 people this weekend. It's dangerous, right? Because we don't want people. You can always have Comic-Con. I don't think the comic book fans are going to go away. Comic-Con will return. I mean, I love your hashtag. I totally, support it. It makes sense. We're going to support small businesses. We're going to support the comic book shop because we're going to need that. We don't want to see you guys go away. I mean, nobody wants that in America. You see that when these big businesses took huge loans that didn't need it. So, I mean, you see it in our industry, the entertainment industry, the comic book industry, the sports industry. I'm pretty damn sure everybody's going to come back. So that leads us to virtual, right? Virtual kind of everywhere. So
all the virtual cons everywhere.
All the virtual cons.
One pops up every day.
So, what do you guys think of those as a remedy? Because you see big conferences that aren't related to comic books or entertainment, they're starting doing them. What's your guys' thought on these virtual cons that are going on?
I've done a few of them. Some were kind of thrown together haphazardly. Some were much more organized and had even somewhat of a financial element where they made a couple bucks, which ultimately why you throw a convention. I don't think virtual cons will ever replace the physical conventions. It's just not the same. You want to meet the artist, you want to get a commission, you want to go to a vendor booth and pick up items and have there's tangibility there. You want to haggle with the person selling them. If you're meeting media guests, people from TV and movies, you want to meet them and shake their hands or give them a hug or take selfies with them. And nothing will ever replace that experience. Where I do think the virtual cons might come to play is later on in the future, where cons like San Diego or New York or any con for that matter can add a virtual element. So for people who maybe can't afford to fly out to San Diego and wait in line for 24 hours for a Game of Thrones panel, maybe they could charge those people X amount, $5-10 to get access to a virtual panel, and maybe even type in questions which they answer on the actual panel. I think that would be a great idea, but it's never going to replace the actual experience. Right now, it's a great way for the conventions that had to be canceled to just keep their brand and their con in everybody's mind still. A lot of them are holding virtual cons on the weekends that they would have had the physical conventions, maybe bringing in a couple of the guests that they would have had physically to do an online panel. Some of them are charging X amount to book like one-on-one Zoom calls with fans. So that's a way they've kind of worked that in. And some people kind of like that. They get 5 or 10 minutes with their favorite star. And although it's across a computer screen, it's still somewhat of an intimate experience. But I don't think they'll ever replace, the San Diegos or the New Yorks or even some of the smaller ones. They'll never replace a real convention experience physically. And then as Josh and I will tell you, sometimes the con isn't really the actual con. It's after the con when you hang out with everybody at the hotel bar or the after parties or whatever. And that will never be replaced virtually, I'm afraid. Or I'm not afraid. I love that part. I miss that part. I look forward to being back at that part.
Yeah. Like the after parties are the cool part. Yeah.
Like Ming and I look like the biggest alcoholics in the world, but there's nothing like being there. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
There's nothing like being there. And right now, if you look at whether it's sports or conventions, let's say you're watching the World Series. There's people in the stands that could easily watch that at home. Okay, so it's like people want to be involved in this kind of stuff. They want to go to these conventions. They want to be a part of it, get the first look at stuff and see things with their own eyes, touch stuff, feel stuff, whatever, and be a part of it. I think what the virtual cons did, and I salute them for it, is feed that fandom. So that fandom doesn't die off because there's not something being done. They're like, look, we know you guys want this, and we're doing everything in our power to deliver you what you love, but it's got to be I guess ever changing to what the landscape is. So if there's no way to go to a con, we're going to figure out a way to bring a con to you, which I support. I'm not saying that at the end of the day, that's exactly what I want. I want everything to be virtual. I like going out and interacting with people. It's what Ming was saying. I was like, when we see people at like after the convention's over at the end of the night where we're all, barely can talk because we talked to so many people. We have a drink together. We had share some laughs. That's where really that community comes in. And it's great. It's what we look forward to because it makes it worth it. Because people come up to you and you see the fans, they're excited. They're hanging with their favorite artists. They're hanging with creators, whatever it might be, or celebrities might be walking through. And it's just a wonderful, positive vibe. I don't go to conventions much and notice there's a huge amount of a negative element. I've been living my life pretty positively. And I'm trying to increase that more and more. But I'll tell you, that positive energy is like, it's nothing that you've ever felt before. So I've never heard like somebody going there. It's like, oh my God, it's the worst con ever. And everybody's so mean. I just don't hear that often.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I'm pushing buttons over.
Figuring it out.
It wouldn't be an interview with us, Eric, if we didn't have.
Sorry, I'm pushing buttons. Everybody, just forgive me. I'm over here mastering controllers over here. So I have another question. Look at me. I have questions. Shocking. I'm doing an interview and we have questions. I know. Crazy. Ming, this one's for you. So you reopened your podcast. Podcasting is huge, as we all know. In every vertical, we all love podcasts. There's some good ones out there, and yours is one of them. So you just recently reopened your studio, the Shared Universe, or A Shared Universe. It's behind your head there for folks playing at home. Tell us about it.
I started podcasting about 10 years ago. Kevin Smith was the one that got all of us into it. And if you know anything about Kevin, he loves to talk at length. He loves to curse, and he loves to say whatever he wants to say without anyone telling him what he can and can't say. He made a whole career out of this philosophy, starting with his first movie Clerks, which has drug dealers and a lot of bad language, and launched him into movie royalty, I guess, and him being kicking off the independent film movement. And I think at some point he wanted a radio show, but there were too many restrictions, and he found podcasting, this free form media format where you could say whatever he wanted. He got all of us into it, and we fell in love with it immediately. I was like, wait a minute, I can start a show about Star Wars and comic books and food, and Kevin was like, yeah, that's totally. And I'm like, and people will listen to this? He's like, you'll find other people who love Star Wars, comic books, and food, I guarantee you. And I did. And but beyond that, just recording the podcast, just having an avenue to get my nerddom out there and have it recorded and thrown into a savable format that could be distributed out into the world was really amazing. I'm like, wow, it's. I guess it was that thing I'd always been looking for as a kid when I was trying to scream how cool the X-Men were from a rooftop and nobody would listen to me. And now I have people who would listen to me, and it was pretty amazing. So we over the 10 years recorded countless number of shows. I helped Kevin launch his Smodcast podcast network, which and everyone loves all of Kevin's podcasts. And if you watch Comic Book Men, there are certain scenes where you see all of us sitting around a poker table talking into microphones that look like this. And at first people are like, what's going on? What are they doing there? And I'm like, oh, wait, they're podcasting. And we use that as kind of a narrative format to tie all of our scenes together. But we immediately recognized how much fun podcasting was. And at some point, we would go to conventions or we would be at the comic book shop, and people would come down and be like, hey, man, I listen to your podcast. Listen, I love the TV show. I really love your podcast. I want to make one of my own. How do I do it? And I'm like, oh, well, I guess I could tell you in 10 minutes, I guess. But, I'll tell you all I can in 10 minutes. But it was never enough. We had always dreamed of maybe opening up some kind of classroom or studio where we could teach people and really just pass on our love of podcasting. And finally, about 2-3 years ago, we did it. We opened up a Shared Universe. We also recognize that there is nowhere, like no central location where people who wanted to start a podcast could go and start one. Most people start in their basements or their garages, or they would sit down in their kitchen with some microphones and kind of cobble something together. And we recognize that most people didn't really even want to mess with that. It's like, we'll take care of all that for you. Just come down and talk about whatever you want. You want to promote your business, an event, or you just want to argue about how bad the 8th season of Game of Thrones was. You can get it out and it's that, and we saw that was incredibly freeing. That our bitching about Game of Thrones for 8 hours, or not 8 hours, but for an hour, the whole, and how much better we felt afterwards. And it was it was cheaper than a psychologist. So so we launched a studio. We help people launch shows. People come back every week and record their own shows. We provide all the support, and it's been going pretty well. We had to shut down the physical studio during the quarantine, but we moved all of our clients online through streaming formats like this, and that kind of took off. Thank goodness. So a lot of our clients followed us online, and we were able to pick up a lot of new people as well. And we kind of just we opened up actually a whole new market where you don't even have to come down here to start a podcast anymore. If you're in California or Florida or Connecticut or whatever, we can connect you from wherever, and you can start your own shows. So it's been great, but it was all kind of based on our comic book fandom, and that tenet that when we find something that was cool, that we wanted to pass it on to other people. It's the same thing with podcasting. We're like, this is awesome, this is fun, and we can show you how to have as much fun as we're having. And we're going to warn you that it's addicting. You're going to come back week after week. So I think we've hit on something great, and we're passing on the love to everybody else. And we want everyone to start streaming, creating content, podcasting, whatever. And hopefully when you do want to do that, you think of us first.
I think that's so great, because right now I feel like everyone in the world during quarantine is making a podcast or making some sort of content or streaming stuff. Like this show was birthed in the middle of quarantine. So I have to ask you guys, I know Previews World is doing a lot of stuff with StreamYard gaming and making content that way, and A Shared Universe is obviously supporting people to create their own podcasts. How important do you think making content right now to connect to fans or connect to new audience members is important during quarantine?
Content is king, and right now you got everybody's ear. I mean, that's the thing. It's like right now, it's like you look at where people before were at work. There were things like some people might be, God bless them, they might still be like on unemployment or something, or furloughed in some way, and they're just looking for something to do while they're sitting at home, and they're like, hey, I've discovered this new stuff. Or maybe people's hours were cut, or maybe they're just working from home and they have time to put something on the background. It's an opportunity in that. I hate to use pandemic as an opportunity, but content is king. And it's like the more content you develop and the more you can talk to your audience and be, transparent with them and give them things, they're going to respond to you. And it's also the interactivity, like programs like this, where you have, just people that can comment through Facebook and YouTube and all that stuff. You can interact with them. That's huge right now because people want to feel like they're involved in something. Just what Ming said, I'm still kind of triggered by what Ming said about the Game of Thrones ending, because that infuriated me. I had more than enough stuff to say about the end of Game of Thrones. It was hot garbage, and I didn't want to watch it.
Don't hold back.
Hot garbage. I just want to say that. Game of Thrones ending, hot garbage.
Yeah, and
we can go on that tangent if we need to. I still haven't a year later completely gone, nope, I don't like that. It was horrible. It was like, really? This is what you came up with. You believe this?
Soprano did, and just turned it off. I'm like, all right, better.
It's like, who at HBO is like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make a great series. I got this great idea. So listen up. Got a great idea. We're going to make a great series that everyone will love. The final episode, we're going to make sure it sucks.
Yeah, that'll get it.
Got it. Let's go. That's what I feel HBO does for everything. They're like, great series, final episode, make it shitty. Find that kid to make it. So it's crazy.
No disrespect to people that like it. Okay, I'm just saying. My opinion, you guys are wrong.
It was bad. I mean, even the Sopranos. I saw
that series was phenomenal throughout the entire thing. Was phenomenal, but it's just the end was bad. Yeah.
I love Thrones. Thrones was great. Thrones was my favorite. So, I mean, we thank you guys for coming on. I don't want to take up much of your time. We've been going for long here, and now we're talking about Game of Thrones. So
this is what we do.
That's what we do.
We said we're on Thrones.
We do it.
I mean, so I have one for you guys. So what do you see coming in the future that once we get back, what are you guys excited to see come out that everybody else should be kind of?
I can't hear him.
No, Eric, you might come out.
Eric, your audio just
We
went
got,
out.
we got the gist of what you were saying. I mean, I'm excited to see all these movies that were supposed to be out these couple months that got postponed. So Black Widow and Wonder Woman 84 were supposed to be out last weekend or 2 weekends ago. And we were joking around. We were like, well, when will you feel safe going back to a movie theater? And we're like, oh man, I don't know, man. It might be a while. But then it was like, all right, let's say they were gonna put Ghostbusters out tomorrow. Would you go to a theater? And me and Mike were like, oh yeah, we'd be there in a heartbeat. So, that's it pains me to see all these movies getting pushed back. But what else are you gonna do? I think some of them they're like, maybe we'll release it digitally, but I don't want to watch Wonder Woman and Black Widow on my TV screen. I want to go experience that at a movie theater for sure. And I mean, personally, I'm just hoping that cons come back at some point safely and with nobody getting sick. I really do miss not being at conventions with old friends and making new friends and all that. That's yeah, I'm hoping that's sooner rather than later. But it's something we're all going through. So I'll wait as long as we need to, I guess, in order for it to be saved.
Yeah.
I think the key is the world will come back on. The world will come back online, and it will. We'll have stores. I think the surprising thing is, remember, everybody's been so cooped up that they're going to start appreciating what they did before. Remember, we've been so automated. We've been like, oh, let's buy this from Amazon. Let's do this in point and click. People are now, I think, home bored of buying things online and saying, okay, ship it to me. The experience will come back. They'll want to go interact with their store owners. Like if you go to like Ming's shop, like say you're at Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, and you go in there, you can talk to people in there and say, oh, wow, let's talk about the things that have gone on, the stories we've read during the shutdown. They want that sense of community and they want to be around people. So I think like the retail resurgence will come through because people are like, look, we got to get out of the house. It's a joy to go to a store and shop now instead of just being, oh, this is convenient. That's what I think will happen. I'm very optimistic. I may call me stupid sometimes, but I'm like, look, I am stupidly optimistic right now. And I believe wholeheartedly that things are going to happen. I'm like Ming said with the movies, people are sometimes just as loyal as their options, so it's saying, right, I can't do that. You can do it now. All right, cool. I'm back.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
But I really feel like we're going to be pleasantly surprised by this. Could have had a better effect on people. And I always look for the positive note in something. And I think people coming back into stores and paying, or paying their money into mom and pop stores, supporting their communities and helping people and not just, I love Amazon like everybody else, but Jeff Bezos doesn't need another $100 billion. I'm like, it's a great site. Okay. But the thing is, these other people you're paying for their kids' braces, you're paying to put them in sports, you're doing all this stuff. And they actually have a way harder job. What they do, especially in the comic industry, what Ming and those guys do at their shop is tough. He'll tell you it's hard work. It's not easy to turn around on that kind of stuff. I salute them all because I know how tough retail is. And really, I think it's at this point, just, shop local, shop safe, and do that's been the message I've been putting out to everybody. I really think that we should be supporting these guys. So
that's solid. I mean, I think that's a perfect way. Mic drop. We could finish on that because I mean, that you guys said it all. I mean, you guys understand the industry. Ming, you actually feel it more than most people as a comic, in a comic book store. I mean, and why we've been talking, just so you guys know, the state of California just ordered, if you're out in public, you have to wear a mask. So you're going to start seeing that more and more because obviously people are like, I'm not going to wear a mask. And that's been the great debate. I mean, it probably starts at the top and works its way down, but most of us are wearing them. But I always tell people, if you want to support these shops, I mean, somebody like Ming, I would be a customer for sure if I lived by you, because to me, that's the most important thing. And you're right, Josh, when you talk about Jeff Bezos, talk about a guy who already divorced his wife and he lost billions of dollars and he's still a billionaire. Something's not right there. So I want to support the artist who's working on the book, the guy sitting in the comic book shop praying for somebody to walk in, because those are the folks that deserve it. You want to give them the hard work. Amazon will still be there when we're done. We need We don't need to worry about them. They'll be fine if I don't go do business with them. Even if like 5% of us don't go do business with them, they're going to be fine. They'll be like Nike. They'll be like, oh, we don't care. you don't like Kaepernick? We're cool. You'll still buy our shoes. Go burn them. We don't care. It's the same thing with your guys' industry. So I'm glad you guys were able to come on today and share this side of the world. We've had, different people from the entertainment world on our show. And, we want to think about it because comic books and entertainment are a big part of all of our lives still. Like, you reach in your 40s, you're still reading comic books. I mean, gamers are still going there. It's like I blow people's minds when I'm like, Deadmau5 is like in his 40s and Tiesto's 50. So, like, don't try to say people aren't doing it because gaming is huge with everybody. I mean, we all know that by just, how big Twitch has grown during this. I mean, look at the athletes. I mean, how many of them have – what was Call of Duty Warzone at the first 30 days? 55 million downloads, right? I mean, that blows your mind. And we had a guy, 2 people who were on the cover of that were on our show. Jade in the front with the shaved head and Rudy Reyes, both vets. I mean, they're like, dude, we had no idea this was going to be popular. We just thought, hey, people might download this. And I'm like, then you look at all the guys in the NBA playing it. They're like having full out and raising millions. So this industry, I'm confident with your hashtag, Josh, the comeback's going to come. People aren't going to, they're going to probably like the smaller guy than the big giants out there. We're going to support those guys because we understand what it takes to do business. So I want to thank you both for joining us. Jordan, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, so before we hang up, please, guys, tell us where they can find you and where they can find out more information about Back the Comeback.
You can find me on, I think the main social media I do is like at Josh Geppi on like Instagram. So I'm on there. I mean, like I don't get real, political, anything else like that. So you're going to see a lot of comic book pictures on my social media, but you can go to backthecomeback.com to find out what we're doing as this whole campaign rolls out and we keep having other phases of it. We have a charity auction coming up on digauction.com July 4th to the 18th, where there'll be some really cool things up for grabs. So don't miss out on that. And just one other thing I said, I just encourage people to be good to each other. I'm not getting on my soapbox, but I'm just like, what? Positivity does a lot, man. You can't combat hate with hate, but be good to each other. So anybody that's watching this, please just remember that. Just be good to each other.
Oh, I love it. I love that you say that, Josh. That's what I want to say real fast before you guys close out. Sorry. I love the positivity. I think it's the industry, right? A lot of folks in the entertainment industry. I know you get hated on no matter where you're at because people are like, oh, you don't have a say, right? Everybody's like actors, entertainment, comic book. Everybody's got 5 cents to say. And I'm like, dude, positive. There's nothing wrong with saying be positive. We can't all walk around with hate in your heart. Remember when you get a lot of gray hair, your life sucks. You don't have fun. And it's all about fun. And that's my kids, you're right, Josh, you said it. You're spending a lot of time with your fam. I've actually loved it. I mean, my kids are older, so they're going to leave the house in a few years. I've got like 3 straight months of goofing off with my boy. My daughter and I taught her how to drive, which was scary, and got gray hairs from that. So I didn't need me hard. I have that. And, and watching old movies with them. I mean, my kids, we've watched 80s movies. And it's funny, Ming, you brought up Clerks. Yep. We were in Bend, Oregon, which is in the middle of nowhere. It's awesome. It's like little California. And we were coming back and we were going by one of these old, like, convenience stores. And there were 2 dudes just leaning on the wall on the side.
Yep.
I was thinking Clerks. My 13-year-old said it. He's like, look, it's like Jay Silent Bob. I was like, I've taught you right, boy. Not only do you know that movie, but you listen to the Beastie Boys and you know that movie and you referenced it. Properly done parenting. I taught you 80s movies, 90s. But anyways, I just want to say I love the positivity. I think that's huge. But Ming, tell everybody how they can find you and support you. All those good details.
Yeah, if you love what you just saw here with this live stream, or you want to start a podcast, or you want to create content, go to ashareduniverse.com. You can book us up. If you're a fan of Comic Book Men, we started a thing where you can book me and Mike, or book me or book Mike. If you have a podcast or a live stream, we'll come on and podcast with you. It's something we've been doing. But yeah, go out, create content. With the technology available and with our help, you can be up on online very quickly and easily. And my social media all over. Follow me at Ming Chen 37, MINGCHEN 37. And I'm gonna echo Josh and Bill and Ted. Be excellent to each other, everybody.
Amen. And that movie's coming out. That trailer came out.
It is.
They look pretty old.
They do.
It's weird seeing Keanu Reeves now when he's John Wick to me now. It's like he's not, Jay and Silent. He's not Bill and Ted. It's just weird. And then we get Top Gun 2. Come on, we're excited about that. Speaking of old dudes, I'm excited. So, anyways, guys, I want to thank you for joining us. I won't take up any more time. We got to have you back on soon. I have to.
Anytime.
This is like a solid hour of geekdom for me, which is good. So I know if I'm geeking out, that means you are. Maybe I'll invite my 13-year-old in, and he can geek out and interview you.
I'm down.
He's a fan, so he's. I could hear him in the other room. He's on the other side of where I record, and he's telling his friends. So you guys are. I don't know which one's more popular, Josh or Ming. I think you're the more popular one because they watch they know your show.
He's way more popular. Nobody's coming to a table for me to sign something.
Yeah, right. True.
He's
You're not on AMC. He is.
How adorable he is right there. You want to come up and see that face at the cons. I'm telling you, if you see it at the con when they start up, go up and show that man some love because he is awesome.
Yeah, then go see Josh. He's got all the cool toys, literally.
That's true. He does. He did show us his office. So, anyways, guys, I want to thank you guys for joining us today, and everybody else, stay tuned for our next guest.
We want to thank you for tuning in today. It's been a great week. Thank you again for everybody who participated in the To The Point shows this week. We've had some amazing guests. I want to thank all of our guests that came on our show today, just to name a few, or this week, not just today. We had amazing Stanley Campbell. Thank you for both of your appearances this week. The wonderful Matt Cachero stopping by for his pivot point. Oh, by the way, when it comes to Matt, I know on our show on Monday mentioned that he would be having a webinar today in light of it being the holiday of Juneteenth. Matt decided to move it so people could be out celebrating with their community and family and dinner. So I believe it'll be next week. We will update with a link on our show coming up on Monday. We'll bring it up on our Military Monday show. I want to thank both Kelsey Edwards and the amazing Jeremy Leonard, Lucy Mitchell, of course, Scott and Suki, Stanley Campbell again, and David Melsner and the wonderful Edward Jakowski. And of course, today's guys, amazing guests, Ming and Josh, thank you for stopping by. And of course, the wonderful Jordan, thank you for all the amazing things you do with our show. And folks, we couldn't do this without you. So we thank you for smashing that subscribe button, following us on Instagram, following us right here on Facebook. We appreciate it. And also following us wherever you follow us and sending us your messages. We're listening and learning. So if you have anything that you'd like to see on our show, please send a message and we'd love to make the show what you'd like to see. If you have a guest that you'd like to see, send us a message. And if you'd like to be a guest, go ahead and email us at hello@tothepointtv.com. We'll respond and we'll put you in queue. We'll give you a little brief interview and put you on the show because we love to have new guests. We've got quite a few. So some of those people who have sent those emails, you're going to start seeing appearing on our show in the coming weeks. So we're excited for that. So it is Father's Day weekend. So make sure you go out and thank that father person in your life. Now, a father can be anybody. There's a lot of single moms, including my mom, who was once a single mom, was raising my little punk ass. Yeah, she got off Happy Father's Day too. But I have an amazing pops in my life, so a big shout out to him for being an amazing dad when the biological one did not such a bang job. But we're not being negative here. But anyways, it is Father's Day weekend, so go out and enjoy Father's Day weekend. Enjoy summer. Tomorrow is summer, so since I won't see you guys until Monday, make sure you have a happy first day of summer. Hopefully things start turning around here. I'd like this dumpster fire that is 2020 to stop. But go out, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your family, enjoy another 24 hours on the clock, as we like to say around here. And again, we thank you on behalf of everyone here at To The Point and the entire team. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday with amazing guests. Actually, Monday, I'm excited for Monday. We have the amazing George Bryan is back, and we're going to jump into the weeds over like this new way that your business is changing, right? Where we hear about the normal's not going to be new normal and the new normal. We're going to break down what that means to you. So you don't want to Monday's episode we're going to deep dive into the weeds there. Start it off right with a great business week. And we have some amazing guests for you next week. So stay tuned on Monday to hear more about the guests that we have. And again, if you want to see the guests that are coming up, make sure you're checking out our Instagram where we release we just like to release secretly on Sundays the guests that we're going to be having out during the week, so you can check them out. Make sure you tune in, and as always, smash that subscribe button on our YouTube. We're really trying to grow that. We want to get to 1,000 subs as fast as humanly possible. You guys got us by 100 really fast, so we need to keep that going. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, I'm your host, Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be smart, be strong, and God bless America.